Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is episode 5 of my YouTube series known as Voice in My Head. So today I'm going to be talking about a really interesting topic, something that I've been really meaning to talk about for a long time. It is the perception of money and the humanization of the independent woman. Now, you may be wondering what is the perception of money that I'm talking about and how does it relate to the humanization of the independent woman? Hold on, we're getting there, relax. So the perception of money is a concept that I came up with, and it's in my book, the Patriarchal Triangle. The perception of money, the concept is really simple. It simply means that men are generally raised and taught to go after money, to make money, and women are generally raised and taught to pursue, that is, date and or marry men that have money. Now, when I say generally, if you are an exemption, good for you. But when you look at the larger society, it's very clear that women are generally being raised to pursue men who have money, whether by dating them or marrying them, just being associated with them generally. There are various examples around us that shows this perception of money. Take myself, for example, I'm a recent graduate, and on various occasions, I've had talks, not by my parents, thankfully, on how I could choose to get married or how I could pursue marriage now. I'm a broke graduate. The money I earn right now is just a little thing. I'm just doing a little job to put body and soul together. Most of my basic needs, in fact, all my basic needs have been taken care of by my parents. The money I have cannot sustain me. If they were to leave me on the street and say, fend for yourself with the money you have, I would not be able to. Yet, people who know these things about me are, you know, bringing up topics of marriage to me. You're comfortable with a broke girl like me getting married. Like if I bring a young man to you and tell you that I'm about to get married and this is the love of my life, you would gladly watch me get married. Do they forget that marriage is a big financial, endeavor? Or I don't think they did forget. They did not. They just think that my husband will take care of it. And now, as I'm broke and I'm at home or struggling to get a job or looking for a job, they would expect that I would have a child. And now, that child, who is going to finance its upbringing? My husband. There is this training. They don't push women to do more. I've graduated from school. You're not even pushing me to do more. My parents, I said, are exemptions. My parents don't think that way, thankfully. So these people are not even pushing me to. So what's the next thing? What job do you want to do? Are you thinking of furthering your, education? What are you actually planning to do? They are bringing up topics of marriage to me. Would they talk to a young boy who just graduated and tell him to get married? Somebody they know that don't have a job and his parents are still financing his basic needs. Would they tell him to get married? Because the perception of money is that so long as a woman is aligned, either by dating or by marriage, to a wealthy man, she's good to go. Another example of this is when women say, I'd rather marry for money and not for love. I don't care for love, at least right now in this conversation. But I care for money, so let's talk about money. You would rather marry for money and not for love. And it's usually from people who are from financially handicapped backgrounds, right? They don't have money like that. Their parents are not well to do. So they sit down and tell themselves, you know what, I'll marry for money, not for love. I'm not going to suffer like my mom. They don't think within themselves that I'm going to be the rich woman. I'm going to make money and have the soft life that I want. No, they would rather think to align themselves with a man who has already made it. There is always an option of a man liberating a woman financially. There is not this teaching for women to be financially independent of a man. There are countless movies out there, Nollywood movies, you see a lot of them. A girl who is struggling, maybe she's living with her stepmother and step siblings, and she's suffering. They're treating her like a slave and everything. We know that halfway through this movie, her life is going to change, but her life hardly ever changes by her own hard work. She meets a wealthy man who is going to uplift her. She always does. The perception of money, she cannot become somebody great on her own. And these stories, These teachings shape how men and women interact with money. That's why you could tell a man, you could have a conversation with a man about all the things that women are facing in society. And you could go on and on and on and you say, oh, when it's time to build a man, maybe you can build him. The perception of money. And it is the reality that there are a lot of women who would turn to a man to liberate them financially. It influences everything we see in the world. You don't believe me? If you see a girl, a 20-year-old girl riding a GLE, whatever, the first thing that comes to your mind probably would be, this one a young boy baby. That's probably the first thing that comes to your mind. But if you see a guy in his 20s driving that car, you say, oh, this is a Yahoo boy. If it's a girl, this is a Yahoo boy's babe. Why is she not a Yahoo girl? And most likely you're right. Even something as bad as criminal activity, a fraud, a girl will not do it directly. I'm not saying they're not Yahoo girls, so they are. Majority of them will not do it directly. They will go and align themselves with a guy who's already doing it. So whether it's the good side or the bad side of financial wealth, they would align themselves with a man who has already made it rather than making it by themselves. That's why a girl will sit down and be like, I cannot be with a guy who does not earn so and so, who cannot give me so and so. How much are you earning? What steps are you taking to make money on your own, independent of a man? The perception of money, they have been raised to look towards a man to liberate them financially. This is the reality. It is. And it is horrible. That is why I detest, I'm going to use that word, I detest the Nigerian term understanding girlfriend. Because what is she understanding? What actually is she understanding? The fact that she's sticking with a guy who cannot provide her with luxury. Luxuries that she cannot provide herself makes her understanding. Even let's take it a step further. Luxuries that her parents cannot provide her. She wants a weed, she wants a new car, she wants somebody that will open a business for her. She can't do that for herself. Her parents can't even do that for her. But she's an understanding girlfriend because she's sticking with a man who cannot do that for her. You may wonder why I'm rambling on and on about money and all of this. It's because money in a capitalist society gives you power. In fact, one of the fastest ways to have power is by having money. The amount of money you have equals the amount of power you hold. It's simple. In a capitalist society, it's that simple. Now, if men are being generally raised and taught to seek and to pursue wealth, that means they are being generally taught to seek and to pursue power. And if women are being generally taught to seek and to pursue to pursue men who have wealth by either marrying them or dating them, then they are being generally raised to align themselves with men who have power and not hold power themselves. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You don't get it. Let me let me explain. Let me give you an example. So a friend of mine, this is not to bash my friend, please. This is not to bash my friend. She posted something and it said it was like a dilemma post for ladies. Would you rather date a guy who beats you but gives you 10 million daily or a guy who gives you peace of mind for 10,000 naira monthly? And I looked at the post and I was like, this is actually not a dilemma. It is not, because if a girl is financially independent, no matter if it's even that 10K gone that she's earning in a month, but she's somebody who is financially independent, was raised and indoctrinated to have her own and not depend on a man for money, then she doesn't care whether anything he gives her is a gift. I believe generally that people who are in love, whether man or woman, like to give things, as acts of love, whether it be service, money, attention, all of that. As a man, as a woman, when you see things that your partner likes, you want to buy it for them. When you have a little money, you want to give them. It's a gift. It's not mandatory, right? So if you date somebody and he gives you 10,000 naira at the end of the month, it's a gift. He's deciding to want to give you that money. It's not requested of him to do so. And if I date a man and I give him 10,000 at the end of the month, it's a gift. I'm not requested to give it to him. It is a gift. So now saying, would you rather be with a man who's giving you 10 million or who's giving you 10,000? It's a gift. I'm earning my own money. Whether I'm earning 100,000, what concerns me is to work hard to be able to increase my income and be comfortable by myself and not depend on a man. And now, if we tie it back to the conversation of power and money and power, what is power? Power is the ability to, control other people. I'm just going to use that simple definition. Ability to control other people, to influence other people's decision, right? Do you realize how that 10 million influences or controls the other person? Now, the girl would decide to stay and stick with somebody who is punching her every day because he's giving her 10 million. That's power. That is power. The perception of power is another concept in my book, but I'm not going to go into that. But the perception of money is linked very closely to the perception of power. So he has 10 million so he can treat you however way he wants to treat you because you were raised to align yourself to one who has money and not make money on your own. So you would, as a person, let go of your self dignity and your worth because somebody is buying you with 10 million daily because you were not raised to look for wealth independent of a man. I'm going to end that conversation there because I'm already getting riled up. So let's go to the demonization of an independent woman. As a feminist, if you call yourself a feminist and you are still scared of being seen as independent, solely because you fear a man not wanting you, the journey is still far. I'm not saying that I'm the pinnacle of what do I know, but the journey is still far. And you may think the vulgarization of independent women are done by men alone. But in fact, the people that uphold this thing, men and women. You would see a young girl who is just hustling on her own, making money, just trying to make sure that her life is good. Maybe bought a car, a house, and people will start coming for her. This one you already have the house and the car. What if the man you're about to marry doesn't even have the house and the car? Do you want to threaten him? Do you want to threaten his male ego? The fragile ego, don't you think? But let's not get into that. Let's just go straight to the demonization of the independent woman. And to talk about that, I'm just going to read directly from my book. I don't want to say too much. So I'm going to read from the last part of my book. Here it goes. And so, the villainization of the independent woman stems from a place of intending control. Let me break it down. It's common knowledge that people tend to become proud, rude, arrogant, and generally exhibit more negative traits as their wealth grows. We've all heard stories or even have personal experience of feeling betrayed by a friend we started our hustling journey with. The type, four friends sharing a cramped apartment, working hard, and then one gets signed by a modeling agency, start traveling the world, making money, gaining fame. Suddenly, they don't answer calls or reply messages anymore. We say they've changed and label them proud or arrogant, or because they now have money. We've come to understand that money amplifies a person's character, often for the worse. That's why we deeply respect the few wealthy people who still manage to maintain humility. Because money is power, and power allows you to behave badly without consequences. So when someone with power chooses to remain kind, it stands out. Let me illustrate. Imagine I met someone like Dangote, one of the wealthiest men in Nigeria and Africa. He accidentally stepped on me but doesn't move his feet. I try to get his attention, but his security guard shoves me to the ground. I go online and share my story. People will agree with me when I say he thinks he's too rich to care, or God will avenge the poor, because society already believes that wealth often strips people of compassion. But to imagine another version of that story. Dangote steps on me, immediately apologizes, and I say, oh no, it's okay. Later, I share a video praising his humility. People would commend him because, again, we expect wealthy people to be arrogant, or we expect wealth to make people arrogant. So humility becomes extraordinary. Keep that in mind. Now, back to the point. If we already understand that wealth tends to worsen people's character, why are we surprised when financially independent women are rude or arrogant? Here's what I believe. The villainization of independent women comes from two places. One, the intention to control. Two, the refusal to accept that women, like all human beings, have a wide range of character traits, including negative ones. We've all been taught that women should be subservient, milk, lovely, humble, and agreeable. These are the so called virtues of womanhood. So when a woman steps outside those boundaries, we don't see her as simply human, we see her as a threat to the structure. We struggle to accept that a woman can be wicked, manipulative, or controlling because we've been taught she's not supposed to be capable of that. So when someone says, I don't like independent women, they're arrogant and rude, it's no longer just a general criticism of bad behavior. It becomes gendered. You are not criticizing independent people anymore. You're criticizing independent women. And that reveals a deeper discomfort. That women are not behaving according to the script, the patriarchal script. It's the same way someone might say, I hate capitalism because rich people are arrogant and oppressive. That's a societal critique. But if you only say it about rich women, your problem isn't wealth, it's women having power. That's how we know it's about control. That's why when a girl is outspoken or stubborn, people say, you won't get a husband. They threaten her with marriage. Use it as a tool to mold her behavior. But when a boy is rude and proud, no one says no woman will marry you. Why? Because somewhere a girl has been raised to manage and tolerate his flaws. Women are raised to accommodate the excesses of men. That's why that's what society calls virtue. If a woman is patient and submissive enough to calm a rude, arrogant man, she's seen as strong and valuable. But when a woman is powerful in herself, where she doesn't need to tame a lion but instead embodies strength on her own, she threatens the very foundation of male superiority and the myth of the submissive woman. Now think about this common argument. Independent women can't sustain marriage. If their husband says something wrong, they'll just leave because they think they have money. Now ask yourself, why is your tension in marriage to hurt or provoke your partner? Why does it upset you that your wife won't tolerate mistreatment? Why does her ability to survive without you offend you? If you send her packing, she's not stranded. She can afford a hotel, she has income, a business, financial stability. Then your power over her disappears. In a capitalist world, money is power. The loss of control is what bothers you. It's a power struggle. Now, I'm not fully there yet. I'm still growing into financial independence. But even now, I've heard people who are arrogant and unkind, especially when their money fuels their entitlement. If I choose not to marry someone like that, it's a decision grounded in my values, not arrogance. But let's flip it. Suppose I intentionally seek out a man who is financially struggling, not to support him, but so I can dominate him. If I use my financial power to manipulate him, that too is control. And yes, some independent women do that. Why? Because women are human. Women are capable of good, manipulation, cruelty, just like men. Until we accept that women are full human beings, capable of good and bad, we will keep villainizing independence in women while excusing it in men. If you already believe that money changes people, then why does it shock you when some women acquire wealth and change too? Unless, of course, your real issue isn't pride or bad character, but that a woman dares to have power. I beg you to agree or disagree with me. But I would say this, and I've forgotten who quoted this or who said this. But feminism is the radical notion that women are humans, so women are people. And that quote stood out to me a lot because women are just people, capable of good and capable of bad. You not being able to wrap your head around a woman being capable of control and wanting power and wanting greed is because you've been taught that it's a man thing to want power, to want to dominate. That's a man thing, an alpha male to want power, to want to dominate. But if we all agree that money oftentimes make people exhibit negative traits, why can't you stomach it when a woman does the same? It's not about independence. It's not about bad behavior. You're not criticizing that bad behavior, as I've earlier stated. It is just that you are uncomfortable with a woman having that much power. It's as simple as that. And I would just rephrase in case you did not listen to me when I was reading. Independent women no fit stay house. If they are at home, you should just talk to them. They will pack out and go. Why are you planning to mistreat your wife? Why is that your intention? Why are you planning to provoke this woman that you're not yet married to? I thought it's a love thing. All the same. That's the end of the conversation today. I just wanted to voice out the things that have been in my mind for quite some time. And I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Bye.